people say he's done something that goes beyond the pale, he will shake his head and give this answer without fail. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled strokes, he says he tells no lies and that he never jokes. Confronting with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax. A modern Don Quixote, he hates the windmills, claiming to protect the birds and whales he says they kill. But don't believe that story, it's really just a shill. He just did not want to see them wild golfing on Scottish hills. A hoax, he said it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, changing a storm path with black marker strokes. Confronted with the truth, to say it's all a hoax. Casting mail-in ballots is something that he's done. Now he wants to ban them for each and every one. He claims it's for integrity in each election, but he won't believe the results unless it's him that's won. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, they'll fool you with distractions like real sugar in Cokes. Confronting with the truth, you'll say it's all a hoax. He promised to release all the Epstein files that caused all the MAGA base to react with smiles. But how long has he put it off? It sure has been a while, and now he's calling this a hoax, protecting pedophiles. A hoax, he says it's all a hoax. When at a press conference or with misspelled keystrokes, he'll keep on gaslighting up until he croaks. Confronted with the truth, he'll say it's all a hoax.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall, promised Mexico This just in. A sudden spike in logic levels across the city. Citizens report seeing a man with glasses and a podcast mic. We go now live to Liberal Dan. Yo, who you gonna call when Nazi writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, cause you know we got a plan. The right wing talking shit, but he ain't about to quit. He'll take his proton pack and zap your logic cause it's whack. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall.
It's being reported that Liberal Dan is setting up what appears to be some sort of straw man containment field.
He's calling out your lies with his mic he'll vaporize. Cross the streams in your dreams, bitch, you know that he's too wise. You're like Slimer talking crap, but you walked into his trap. Yo, it's more than entertainment, it's misinformation contained. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. The Statue Liberty, the writing you can't see. So bring the huddled masses, it's a war of the classes. While Trump may think he's Vigo, Dan can cut through that ego. He's got the facts to prove him wrong, got that logic like Egon. Your logic is a ghost, cause you know this chick is toast. When you follow MTG, it's conspiracy, you'll see. There's no need to taser, he's got wit like Occam's razor. Liberal Dan cuts those lies with his Jewish-based laser.
It's unbelievable. Liberal Dan just used the literal dog whistle to lure a large group of internet trolls into what is being called a self-collapsing rhetoric singularity. In all my years of reporting, I've never seen anything like this.
So don't call to be a heckler, you ain't no Judge Rexler. He'll bust you like Scolary, cause your logic's looking hairy. Right-wing callers think they're cool, but they sounding just like Zool. You the dog, he the man, and yo, his name is Liberal Dan. So who you gonna call when the writing's on the wall? Call your man Liberal Dan, and the rhetoric will fall. Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan, Liberal Dan.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from left, that's right. Shouts out to all the sparklers who have joined us on at least the Twitch raid. So thank you all very much for joining, and thank you everybody, all the regular Liberal Danimals, all the listeners who listen every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday here, 8 p.m. Central on YouTube or Twitch, liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com. Either way will get you there. If you've noticed, I decided to just go ahead and show the full-on videos without actually, having to actually play the audio. I figured if we have the videos, why not play them during the start of the show, right? And now that contest is over, I did get the $50 for being, I guess, an affiliate for Opus Clip, and then also for because I was an affiliate, I got an opportunity to get $50 for submitting an entry to the contest. But also, I don't think I hit what I needed to hit. I mean, unless they kick a whole bunch of people out for getting like automated like bots or whatever for entries, in which case we'll see. But I didn't win the contest. But it is what. I'm sorry, that's Donald Trump's line. I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But after that was done, I figured, all right, well, let me try and make myself a slightly better, because there were things about the initial video that I liked. Got rid of the watermarks, but there are also things about the initial video that I thought could have some improvement. So I tried to throw, there is a tool that they put into ChatGPT so that I could sit there and be like, all right, make me a prompt for your story mode so that I could actually have a video that I want. And as I kept getting more and more complicated, it kept actually doing things that I liked, but it kept doing more things that I didn't like. So after about 3 or 4 creations of different videos together, I was like, you know what? There are parts of this video that I like. There are parts of this video I like. So I just went ahead and I chopped it all up, put them all together. And that was the last video you saw there, was the final version of the Liberal Dan Radio theme song video. And that is available on YouTube now. Once you go to the liberaldanradio.com, you see that video right away. And I thought the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. So I enjoyed making it. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of other videos that are coming down the pipe. So just stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe to Liberal Dan Radio on YouTube. liberaldanradio.com is the way to get you there. Thank you, Nick Rich, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Yeah, it is what it is. I was trying to say, I was watching Hal earlier in the afternoon, just had him on or whatever, and he was talking about things that Trump did and that Biden would do, and I put in imagine what would happen if Biden tried to do this particular thing, and no music played. It was so weird. I mean, I don't expect Hal to play my music, but still, it was just and then I just had to put in little music notes, had Biden done it, whatever. But what would happen if Biden had done some things?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play, but Trump did it, so it must be okay.
But there is, if you subscribe to YouTube, the YouTube channel, and you will see more than just the music videos popping up. You will also see things like, my new bit, which is the the new shorts creations that I've done, which is the Liberal Dan U, kind of little bit mocking PragerU, maybe a little bit stealing from PragerU, from the idea, whatever, but bringing commentary from the left. And thanks to Jolie, who gave me the idea for this one. And I have other videos on liberaldanradio.com that deal with voter fraud, voter education, etc., and and trying to make sure that people understand that all these Republican talking points are basically just full of crap. But I went ahead and created this new one, Voter Myths Debunked. So we're going to go ahead and play that for y'all as well. It is available up on liberaldanradio.com. And if you have any ideas that you would like for me to deal with, like a MAGA talking point, a Trump talking point, and it's not already up on Liberal Dan U, which is on liberaldanradio.com, just shoot me an email at liberaldanradio.com, liberaldanradio@gmail.com, or you can send a text message to 562-LibDan1 and say, hey, make a video about this, and if I have the credits available, I will make them. And some of them might be put out more urgently based on the topicness of it. Other ones might just be something I put in the hopper and save for a later date, like for future publication when I need to publish one. My idea is to make a whole bunch and then maybe push one out every week, but I wanted to get a couple of new ones out there first, kind of the prime the pump, right? So, Dan, I would love if you could get Mark Elias on the show. I would love to be able to get lots of people on my show, but, you know, we will definitely work on that. So I'm also going to farm the Object Permanent song. It's also very appropriate now. Yes, it is. So anyway, but I do want to say hello to everybody in the chats, though. Church at Every Game, Trisha Eastman, Aaron over there, of the sparklers who haven't said hello yet. Appreciate y'all for joining in. Or Villaby is over there as well. If I missed anybody over there, it's scrolled quickly. So we got Roxanne, Frank, Belfast, Bob, Bingo, 56 Nick's Rich, Jeff from just north of Uranus, Steven, who else am I missing? Teresa, good to see you, Teresa, Aaron as well, Mad Mac, Josh. If I repeat your name several times, it's because I'm scrolling upwards instead of the other way around. So let's see, who else did I miss? If I did happen to, Molly, joy to see you. Thank you for joining us. If I've missed anybody's hellos, Mad Mac. I think I got everybody pretty much, or at least everybody who's said or done anything. So thank you so much, Brenda. Good to see you. Thank you, Mad Mac, for gifting 5 Liberal Dan Radio memberships as well. And I'd love to see when they go to people who are live and actually in the chat too, which I think that should be the default. But, you know, sometimes it does what it wants, and, you know, as Trump says,
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Anyway, so let's go ahead and listen to the Liberal Daniel. The funny thing about this is that I think it picked up that I'm from, like, the Mid-Atlantic, because there are certain things that people from Baltimore say that I don't say, but AI me says it, which is very, very weird. So, like, I've noticed a couple of words where I was like, whoa. Like, I haven't said hun yet, but I don't say hun. I don't really ever say hun, but I don't, if I was from Baltimore, I'd say it hun, like that. But there's a couple of Mid-Atlantic words that I don't say that this says, which I'm, again, just very amused at. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick, just in case you haven't seen it yet.
For years, we've been told that strict voter ID laws are necessary to stop widespread election fraud. The story goes like this. Without strict identification requirements, people will show up at polling places pretending to be someone else and casting fraudulent ballots. It's a powerful claim, but when you actually look at the evidence, the story starts to fall apart. A frequently cited database of election fraud cases in the United States is maintained by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative organization that strongly supports voter ID laws. However, their own data tells a very different story. Across decades of elections and billions of votes cast, the number of proven cases of in-person voter impersonation is tiny. Election experts say no evidence exists that this type of fraud has changed the outcome of any modern U.S. election. And there's a simple reason why. Committing voter impersonation is an incredibly risky crime. You risk felony charges, fines, and possible prison time, all for the reward of casting one extra vote. The risk is enormous for no payoff. Experts across the political spectrum agree that this type of fraud is extremely rare. But there's another important point people often miss. Many so-called voter ID laws contain provisions that have nothing to do with showing identification. The North Carolina law, passed in 2013, didn't just require identification at the polls. It cut early voting days, eliminated same-day registration, restricted out-of-precinct voting, and ended pre-registration for young voters. When the law was challenged, the United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit found that lawmakers had studied racial voting patterns and then restricted voting methods most commonly used by black voters, targeting them with almost surgical precision. Similar concerns have been raised about the SAVE Act, which would require additional proof of citizenship to register to vote. Critics argue this could force millions of legitimate voters to jump through additional hoops just to exercise a constitutional right. Saying this doesn't imply they're incapable of doing so. It simply means everyone should face the same rules. There's also the issue of cost. Even when voter ID cards are free, the documents needed to obtain them often are not. When voting requires spending money to obtain documentation, that begins to resemble a poll tax, something prohibited by the Constitution. If it's wrong for a fraudulent vote to cancel out a legal vote, isn't it also wrong to prevent a legal vote from being cast? If you found this video educational, remember to like and share it, and also to subscribe to liberaldanradio.com for more Liberal Dan U content.
So yeah, the out or what is it? What's the word that outcome or out? I don't say out like that. I don't say it like I'm from from the Chesapeake Bay area on. I don't say it like that. So yeah, I was very very surprised at that. And there was the other one. There was another one too that was in the middle of there that I was just like, yeah, it was like Constitution or something like that. I don't say Constitution, I say Constitution. So it tried to make me more Balmorese or speak more like a Baltimorean than others might have. And actually, towards the end there, I sounded a lot more like my dad, because my dad is very big on enunciation more than I think that I am. And so it was definitely doing a better job of enunciating certain words that I do. My dad's so good at enunciation and very, very precise and specific when he talks that back in the old days when it would you'd get the voice to text transcription of your voicemails on Google Voice. Like my wife would send me messages and it would just be like, hi, hey, hi, hi, hey, hi. Like it would not get her words at all precisely. But my dad, it made absolutely zero mistakes, because my dad made it a very big point to articulate his words precisely. So anyway, how do I say tour? That's how I say tour. Anyway, so Brenda, hope you're doing well. I actually wasn't having a very good day. I overdid a little bit with dinner last night, and it just with the Zep bound or whatever, not great. Let's just put it that way. As what they say, it is what it is, right? But I overdid it. I got punished, and I was almost punished severely. I almost had to leave my work desk for a little bit to go take care of something, but fortunately, that didn't happen. So, but one of the newer songs that I made about how Trump says he knew, nobody knew all of this stuff that was going on. Nobody knew. He talks about nobody knew healthcare would be so complicated, and I included that that he never knew what it was like to deal with prior authorizations. Well, because I have a new job, and because my insurance started March 1st of this month, clearly not March 1st of last month, because that would be February 1st. But starting the 1st of this month, I have a new healthcare plan, which means that I have to now get new prior authorizations for things like Zepbound and things like maybe I think one of the other prescriptions that I need also needs a prior authorization. And of course, the last time I tried to get a prior authorization for Zepbound, my doctor's office screwed it up, and and they didn't do the appeal in time. So 6 months later, I was able to finally start Zepbound. I could have been even later than I was today had they not screwed that up. So now they sent in a prior authorization again to the new insurance that requires that it say that I have obstructive sleep apnea, which I also have obstructive sleep apnea. And they didn't include it in what was needed, and so they denied my prior authorization. So I have 2 more pens left, and my doctor's office has basically 3 Saturdays. So not this Saturday, the next Saturday, but the Saturday afterwards. There's 3 Saturdays to go to actually get myself that prior authorization approved. And then, of course, I tried to get another one filled today because I called up Walgreens to put my new insurance information in, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to cost you $900. It's not covered by your insurance." I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" So yeah. Today, Donnie said, "Use your noggin." When is that saying ever okay for a president to say? Well, it would be more okay for a president to say it if he actually had a noggin to use and actually had brains and was actually smart and not an idiot like our current moron in chief is. But still, we're going to go over some of what that's actually queued up here to watch as the next thing to watch, or potentially the next thing to watch. There's other things that I do want to talk about, but I made sure now that I've done a more raspy Donald Trump, I'm making sure to have more water so I don't, get overly sore-throated or whatever. So, like Blondie says, take the tour through the sewer. Nice. Anyway, so, but before we go ahead and, I guess, do that one, let's talk about this other thing real quick. Actually, we're going to do that last, maybe. Let's do that one last. I apologize. I was going to do something. Let's talk about Byron Donald, shall we? Florida Senator Byron Donald, who's also running for governor. There is a Florida Republican Party has shown itself to yet again be racist. I mean, terrible people in Florida. Their Turning Point USA group, was that hosted Andrew Tate. There is a reason why people refer to things as Florida man, right? So Florida Republicans have a crisis on their hands amid reports this week of young local GOP activists sharing racist and anti-Semitic comments. Shocked, are you? But the Republican Party loves Israel. That doesn't mean they love the Jews. That just means they want Israel to exist, especially in the evangelical mindset of as long as you have a ton of Jews over there, you need to have them there to get your, to get to get your prophecies fulfilled so that, we can die first. With friends like that, who needs frickin' enemies? So the group text was created by Miami Republican Executive Committee Secretary Abel Alexander Carvajal, easy for me to say, and included Florida International University's Turning Point USA's chapter president Ian Valdez and former college Republican recruitment chair Dariel Gonzalez, as well as William Bejarano, who tried to start an anti-abortion group at Miami-Dade College, according to the Miami Herald. Politico has not independently verified the existence of the text. The men listed do not respond to a request for comment. Republican Party leaders and elected officials swiftly denounced the text because you can't know the truth about the Republican Party because, they're afraid that they might actually lose elections if you knew the truth about them. And they started the removal proceedings for Carvajal. The Republican Party of Florida said it was conducting an internal review. I wonder how good that one's going to turn out. And that it, quote, stands against racism, anti-Semitism, and bigotry in all hateful forms and expression. Fuck that. No, you don't. If you did, you wouldn't vote for the racist anti-Semite Donald Trump. If you did, you wouldn't continuously have these problems to begin with. If you did, you wouldn't, be the Republican Party. You'd have left it. A statement from FIU said the incident was being investigated by FIU police with local, state, and federal law enforcement and FIU's Office of Civil Rights, as well as the Office of Student Conduct and Academic Integrity. When contacted by the Herald, Carvajal said he hadn't looked at the group text in months and expressed shock when he saw what had been written. I doubt that look, you can go into the thing and see when the last thing you read was, so it'd be pretty easy to prove. Like, give it to somebody else and be like, hey, open up this group chat and see the last thing I saw. If it's true, then you'll know. If it's not, then you'll be shown to be a liar, right? Beyond this specific incident, Florida Republicans said that they're worried about the young, ultra-online fringes of the far right. Newsflash, Bucky boys. This is not the fringe of the Republican Party. This is the mainstream of the Republican Party. They've already gained influence within the party. This is what happens when you deal with the Joe Rogan types. So even Joe Rogan types are now, the Joe Rogan himself is actually, standing up against Trump. But when you have the Joe Rogan types and the other people in the manosphere, like the Whatever podcast and the Fresh and Fit, I think both of which are out of Florida as well. These people, represent the mainstream young white Republican men who oppose wokeness or whatever. GOP rep Byron Donalds said the governor, who's the governor's race frontrunner, is among the highest-ranking elected officials to have publicly denounced those he referred to as being part of the woke right. Now, I don't know what the hell he means when he's calling it the woke right. Woke and right have nothing to do with each other. The only time that I would say, if you had a right wing who was just only fiscally conservative but was supportive of immigrant rights and LGBTQA rights and other types of things, and maybe I would call them maybe the woke right, maybe. But what he's calling the woke right, we can go into this a little further from the other article before we head on back. Florida gubernatorial candidate Byron Donalds denounced the party, the wing of the party he is threatening to co-opt the conservative movement during a speech at Miami-Dade GOP fundraiser after an anti-immigration candidate started teasing a primary run against him in Florida's gubernatorial race. Since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, there is a strain going on the right. They're calling it the woke right. Who's calling it the woke right? Nobody is calling it the woke right except for you. And, but y'all don't understand what woke means. Representative Donald said Tuesday there's some strain going on where people are just not saying no to illegal immigration, but no legal immigration ever. We've covered that on the show a long time ago. Jeff Crouer and one of his regular guests on his evening show have both said that they should just stop immigration altogether, and not just preventing folks from coming here in violation of our border policies, but stopping all immigration. All of it. So this is not something new in the Republican Party. This is not something that is unique within the Republican Party. And look, once the Republican Party gets rid of, the people that they don't want here who have come here, they're then going to start working on putting people who are already here and sending them back to other places. The people who want to say, go back to Africa are not coming from the left. They're not coming from woke people. They're coming from the right-wing conservatives who y'all embrace. I mean, Donald Trump said something racist, and you were like, I think it was Byron Donalds the other day or other week, who was like, that's the most racist thing I've ever heard Donald Trump say. But yet he won't stop supporting him, endorsing him, backing him, because he understands that he has to kiss that ring in order to make sure that he continues to get support from him. See, his comments during the annual Miami-Dade GOP Lincoln Day dinner came one day after the relatively unknown, very online investor and debate tournament founder James Fishback, age 30, announced his plans to join Florida's gubernatorial race and attacked Donalds online. Fishback, whose mother is an immigrant from Colombia, told the Herald his hardline anti-immigration platform is to the right of Donald Trump. He is opposed to all immigration, including work visas, which he thinks promote a great replacement of American workers. Of course, great replacement theory is said by white supremacists, and it's also not just racist and bigoted, but it's also often tied and paired with anti-Semitism. Because who do they want to say it is bringing all of the people to come replace all the white people but Jews? So that's how it goes. Donald's comments in Miami point to a coming intra-party battle in Florida on how Republicans talk about race, immigration, and bigotry during a second Trump term defined by mass deportation, and comes amid a broader Republican battle over white nationalists emboldened by the Trump administration. If he wins, Donalds would be the first black governor in Florida history. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's what they have to worry about, because this is what the Republicans worry about. You have a large enough chunk of the Republican Party, and I'm not going to say what percentage that is. Y'all can figure that out for yourself. But there's a large enough chunk of the Republican Party that is absolutely white supremacist, racist, bigot, etc. I don't have the exact figure on that, but I would say it's more than half. I would say it's much more than half at this point, after we've seen their continued stay within the Republican Party during these ICE activities that are just horrific. But even if you want to think it's smaller than a half, I would still go on and say, hey, look, if you lose those voters and they stay home because they no longer like the Republican Party, they'll pull the, I didn't leave the Republican Party left me, just like all the racists did when they left the Democratic Party, when they said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party left me. So then they'll go find their own party, and then they'll be fighting outside, against each other, and then that'll help the Democrats win. That's why the mainstream, supposed mainstream Republicans, the folks who don't supposedly like the racism, the bigotry, etc., that's why they won't turn their back on these racists and bigots and anti-Semites, etc., because they know if they lose them, they lose, period. So let's see, we're going to have a spirit of fear when it comes to people who say they agree with us, but their words do not align with our principles, or are going to have the spirit of power who say no to the soft bigotry that might be popping up on social media, said Donalds, who has also supported mass deportations. So again, you can't sit here and complain about the bigotry while also being a bigot yourself. Headliner of the night was Senator Ted Cruz. echoed Donald's attempts to create distance from what they see as a threat from within the party. His comments in Miami also echo statements made earlier this month after Tucker Carlson interviewed white nationalist Nick Fuentes. It's easy to criticize what the other side is doing, and I want to tell you tonight we are seeing anti-Semitism on the rise on the right in the Republican Party. Well, no shit. If you would have been listening to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, you would know that anti-Semitism has not only been on the rise in the Republican Party, but it's firmly entrenched in the Republican Party. How many, you know, and the bizarre thing is that the Jewish people, you know, my brethren, so to speak, who want to sit there and try to claim that anti-Semitism's on the left, they sit there and just turn blinders on to the anti-Semitism that's coming from inside the house, from the right. And you know, if they can't see it,
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
Cruz says, this is funny, if you're a bigot, if you're an anti-Semite, if you're a communist, if you're a jihadist, there's no room for you in the Republican Party, and we don't want you here. Oh, I want to see the mass exodus of all the bigots and anti-Semites. Now, granted, you know, he's obviously going to throw in communists and jihadists because he wants to tie them all together. But still, there are plenty of anti-Semites and bigots in the Republican Party. Juan Porras, a Trump-aligned Miami State representative who helped organize the fundraiser, also slammed Fishback's attacks against Donalds. It's particularly our job to make sure we are not representing our party, but representing our constituents who overwhelmingly do not believe some of the things that is said by this woke right ideology. Again, it's not woke. Woke means that you actually have you're seeing what's going on and you notice the problem and you're trying to fix it. That's what woke means. It doesn't mean what y'all think it means. Like, I should have the, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. As this article says, the so-called woke right is not a clearly defined term. Well, no shit, because it's an idiot term used by morons who don't understand what the term woke means altogether in the first place. Recent use of the phrase has been about political tactics to censor speech, but not a set of policy ideas. According to the Brookings Institute, Jonathan Rauch, he pointed to the crackdown on criticism of Charlie Kirk and to Trump's using methods to stamp out views he doesn't like in media as examples of what he sees as supposed woke right tactics. But again, that has nothing to do with being woke. Let's see. Now it just seems that woke right, just like the Patriot Act doesn't mean you're a patriot, right? So if you support the Patriot Act, it doesn't mean you're a patriot. If you're part of the so-called woke right, it doesn't mean you're actually woke. It means you're probably anti-woke. You're most likely anti-woke. Fishback, who said he has no idea what woke right means. Well, that makes two of us, right? It makes most people, because most people look at the idea of a woke right and it's like, that's stupid. Does fit into the criticism Donald's lobbed as a Republican against any and all immigration. He's been attacking Donalds on social media, yada, yada, yada. So let's go back to the other article, the article about the racist chat. Party leaders need to call out disruptive behavior and get rid of the racist cancer in our party before we can even begin to win elections, says Angie Wong, a Republican executive committee woman in Miami-Dade County. She described the Miami chat room gate as another instance of fringe activists who try to masquerade as Republicans. No, the people that are fringe on Republican side are the people who are opposed to this stuff. Because again, if this is full on Republican crap that they're complaining about. The call is coming from inside the house. So, while the messages that leaked are one example, much of the rhetoric Florida Republicans worry about is on social media, where posts can circulate quickly and be read by hundreds of thousands of people. They have, for instance, noticed the visibility of GOP gubernatorial candidate James Fishback, that he has been able to obtain that visibility through social media when he comments on Donald's race or on Israel, though Fishback polls into single digits and is nowhere near the fundraising of other major candidates. The tactics helped get him on Tucker Carlson's podcast, and young people often are seen at his events. Again, because the young racist white man is part of the GOP base. Fishback told Playbook his campaign's social strategies converts online interest into people showing up in person, given that people spend much of their days online and politics do it today. Genuine online or offline excitement is almost impossible without first building excitement online. Beyond the new media ecosystem, polls showed Donalds is the front runner. So conversations about how to talk about race and bigotry, as well as how to enforce message discipline with GOP ranks, are taking place in Florida, who could elect the first black governor in history. Florida, let's take a look here. Florida governor polls. Latest polls in the Florida governor race. So according to American Promise, where you have Donalds, Collins, Fishback, Renner, Simpsons, DeSantis, or whatever, and this is the Republican primary in and of itself. The general election, Donalds, between Donalds and Jolly, the Democratic Party leading candidate, he leads 42 to 36 with 22% undecided, according to University North Florida poll. Demings versus Donald. Demings is the other person. Demings leads or has 36 and 43%, so 1% moves towards Donald's support. Jolly versus DeSantis, 47 to 34. Demings versus DeSantis, 47, whatever. There are some polls that have DeSantis in it. There are some polls that don't have DeSantis in it. But again, as of right now, Donalds only has about 35% of the average of the top three polls of the Republican Party, and he polls much lower or does poll lower when DeSantis is included in those polls. Of course, the primary election for Florida governor is August 18th, so things can change in the next, 5 months? So in the next 5 months, you may very well see people like Fishback, jumping up and making more of a splash, right? So let's see. Republican Representative Michelle Saltzman of Pensacola said she was worried about how often young people are exposed to social media and influenced by what they see. People with drive and ambition are looking to gain influence and power. They see clicks as a way to do that. Of course, whatever. Anyway, so I find Donalds to be completely ridiculous as it pertains to his complaining about, what's going on in the so-called woke right. I mean, again, that's no such thing. And if he wants to be in a party that doesn't have racism, he should leave the Republican Party. I mean, granted, with him supporting things like, mass deportations, I can't imagine that he actually would, find a home anywhere else other than the Republican Party. But yeah, anyway. Let's see. Jolie is here. Good to see you, Jolie. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. And Aaron has come back from wherever, so thank you, Aaron. Let's see. Jolie, I think I did tell you in our chat that I did create the new one that you requested, so there's that. Mad Mac, lots of commies in the GOP. You never know. I mean, there's what they call communism and socialism, but then they actually support, things that socialism supports when it comes to at least, enriching corporations or whatever. Let's see, what else? So I hope this is a good show. Jeff says, I put off shaving my legs for this. Interesting. Never had that visual in my mind, but here we go. It is what it is. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Donald's line.
It is what it is.
Frank's going to grab his liberal vape. Let's see. I love how Trump shortened his nickname to DeSanctimonious to DeSanctus because he realized neither he or any of his dipshit maggots knew what sanctimonious meant. It actually fit DeSantis well, which, I guess if Donald Trump knows how to do anything well, it's name calling, right? So, anyway. And what else? Some other Florida lawmakers did call for the resignation of the Miami GOP secretary for the racist chat. 3 state senators were Ana Maria Rodriguez, Eliana Garcia, and Alexis Calatayud. Anti-Semitism and racism have no places in our society, but they surely have places in the Republican Party. We strongly condemn and find despicable and vile the unacceptable language that was discovered in the group chat associated with the Miami-Dade Republican Party secretary. Of course, you know, they probably say those things out loud in private as well, and they probably just laugh about it, but now the people that are speaking out are probably people that have no access to that chat. You know, I have no reason to believe that these people are now shocked and outraged that their fellow Republicans in arms are now shown and revealed to have been racist. I don't believe you for one bit. Yeah, Trump, Sleepy Joe. Also Trump falls asleep at Pope Francis's funeral. Meanwhile, Joe and Jill looked great. Yeah. Speaking of things that we do want to talk about here on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. There is a whole big mess was made over the fact that Donald Trump was wearing a like gold MAGA on a white baseball cap when the troops who were, you know, dead from his Iran actions, those troops, you know, he welcoming them home or whatever, and he's sitting there wearing a campaign hat. I actually got Jeff Correa this morning to say that he did not approve of Donald Trump wearing such a cap. But of course, they have to bring up the whole thing of, oh, well, what about Biden and looking at his watch? He looked at his watch a couple times. I was like, you know what, look, maybe it was a little bit unprofessional for Biden to stare at his watch, but a few seconds of him doing this at another similar event of fallen troops is nothing compared to, you know, Donald Trump wearing a goddamn baseball cap from his own shop. Like, if he would have worn like a military-themed hat or whatever from the branch of the military that they passed that they were serving in, maybe I could see it, but not a hat that is sold on his own merch store. Can you imagine if Biden would have worn a hat worn at his own merch store?
Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, the screen fell play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
So yeah, and of course, yeah, and in that same song called Soldiers and Losers, it's called Soldiers Losers, or Suckers and Losers, but that's why I have that in the song. Have called soldiers losers who died in war, because he called them suckers. He called them, you know, he was like, what's in it for them? He questioned the integrity and the bravery of our troops. He called, you know, he didn't call McCain a war hero because he likes people that don't get captured. Like, if anybody else would have done that, it would have been the end of their campaign. I would probably say Republican or Democrat, but for some reason, Donald Trump can get away with all that bullshit and nobody bats an eyelash in the GOP, unless it's, you know, someone who's actually on the fringe of the GOP, which is, you know, the people who might have a little bit of a spine and a little bit of a backbone. So, anyway. Exactly. Joe's son is one of those fallen troops. Joe actually gave a shit. Trump called them suckers and losers. Exactly. Back to another article I wanted to actually didn't even bring it up in the show description, but I did want to bring this up as well. Judges keep ordering immigration hearings, but say the results are often a sham. The courts say that the Trump administration is not complying in good faith with demands to give ICE detainees a measure of due process. If only somebody would have predicted this might happen, that we would have a constitutional crisis when Donald Trump determines that he is no longer required, or he should not be required to follow the Supreme. Of course, he should be required to follow the Supreme Court, but he basically determines, well, we're not going to follow it anyway. Force their hand, make them take action against us, because Pam Bondi herself said that she would not send the U.S. Marshals to go hold people in contempt. According to this article, for months, the Trump administration has been engaged in an unprecedented campaign to lock up thousands of immigrants with long-standing roots in the United States And for months, aghast federal judges have ordered ICE to give them a chance to prove they can safely remain free while their deportation proceedings are pending. Increasingly, however, judges are finding that the hearings they're ordering, conducted by immigration judges who work for the Trump administration, have been fundamentally flawed or even pre-cooked, designed to result in findings of, quote, danger to the community or flight risk without a flare of consideration of things called like evidence. Some federal judges have required do-overs, and others have grown so skeptical of the administration intentions that they've ordered detainees released outright. And of course, you know, the Supreme Court ruled 9-0, unfortunately, that those administrative judges, those, you know, these hearings, the administrative hearings that are done, those judges are appointed by and controlled by the executive branch. And the Supreme Court basically says you have to have it there, and then you can't start from scratch when you're hearing. You have to basically go from what the courts have been ruling, which now constrains the courts even more on their ability to try and step in and stop the Trump administration from acting in unconstitutional ways. It happened last month in Rhode Island. U.S. District Judge John McConnell, an Obama appointee, ordered the release of a man who was denied bond, even though the administration presented no evidence against him. Instead, the immigration judge in his bond hearing relied on an uncorroborated police report supplied by the detainee, in which he was accused of driving at 90 miles per hour in a 55-mile-per-hour zone. It happened in Missouri, where U.S. District Judge Douglas Harpool found the immigration judge had labeled an ICE detainee a risk of flight without sufficient evidence, a ruling he said appeared to be the result of frustration about being ordered to conduct a hearing in the first place. The bond hearing has indications of predetermined outcomes, Harpool, an Obama appointee, wrote. The immigration judge's order enumerates the petitioner has been in the U.S. for 9 years, has not missed a court hearing, has family in the U.S., husband and 3 children, and owns a home and operates a business in the U.S. The IJ's determination regarding flight risk is clearly untethered by facts and any logical conclusion to be determined from those facts. And it happened in Pennsylvania, where District Judge Stephanie Haynes, a Trump appointee, concluded that a detainee's interpreter was not fluent in the correct dialect, creating communication challenges with the immigration judge, who nevertheless ordered the man to remain detained. These federal judges simply disagree with the outcomes of immigration bond decisions, says a Justice Department spokesperson. They are impugning the integrity of or competence of immigration judges solely to give them a hook to review the decisions they disagree with but would otherwise be unable to directly review. No, the people impugning the integrity and competence of the immigration judges are the immigration judges themselves and this administration, who gives them their marching orders. Representatives for the Department of Homeland Security did not respond to requests for comment. Similar cases have emerged in New York, Virginia, North Carolina, Michigan, Virginia, Massachusetts, and a slew of other states. It's the latest rupture between the Trump administration and federal judges, who have described rampant abuses, violations of court orders, and unconstitutional efforts to deprive ICE detainees of due process as required by a 9-0 ruling of the Supreme Court in a Byzantine immigration court system. But unlike the broad judicial consensus that the administration's mass detention strategy is illegal, questions about adequacy of bond hearings have split the judiciary. Federal law forbids the courts from second-guessing the discretionary bond decisions made by executive branch immigration judges. As a result, some judges have concluded that once they've ordered bond hearings, their part of the process has ended. U.S. District Judge David Bunning, a Bush appointee, said he was precluded from intervening in a case of a woman who claimed her immigration judge failed to give meaningful weight to her 2 decades of residence in the U.S., 3 U.S. citizen children, steady work and tax-paying history, and community ties. She does not claim that her bond hearing lacked necessary procedural safeguards or that the IJ did not have statutory authority to deny bond. Bunning, a Bush appointee, wrote on March 2nd, instead, she merely argues the IG came to the wrong conclusion after reviewing the evidence. Increasingly, though, judges are bypassing bond hearings and ordering the release of detainees outright, concluding that they're unlikely to get a fair shake in immigration courts. That dynamic flared most dramatically in West Virginia, where judges have banded together to reject the Trump administration detention practices and order the release of dozens of detainees. The court finds that a bond hearing before an immigration judge would not comport with due process, says District Judge Irene Berger, an Obama appointee, on February 26th. Berger's West Virginia colleague, Bush-appointed Judge Thomas Johnston, agreed that ordering a bond hearing would be futile even when courts were ordering them to be conducted according to the constitutional standards. He cited testimony provided to the court by Jorge Artieda, a ICE former chief counsel in Virginia and one-time advisor to the agency headquarters. Artieda, in a sworn affidavit, said that since January, detainees are now being systematically denied bond based on rationales that would have not been deemed sufficient weeks earlier. It appears to be a systemic effort to nullify the constitutional protections the federal courts have recognized and enforced and ordered. Because, you know, 9-0, Supreme Court, right? So, there you go. Let's see. See, though, slight correction, Bo died from brain cancer, but he got it from a toxic burn pit in Iraq. Exactly. And, of course, we'd probably return back to those toxic burn pits, I'm sure, at some point, if they haven't already, because Donald Trump is a piece of garbage. So, let's see. Mad Max says he's hungry for a good curry. That would definitely curry some favor with me, right? I am definitely all about some good, delicious curry, especially lamb curry. Well, not too hungry, though, at this point, simply because of the fact I'm still kind of... Anyway. So, what next to discuss on Liberal Dan Radio? Talk from the left. That's right. Let's go ahead. The first thing I guess we can do is we will go over Donald, and his... whatchamacallit, his... Where is the... that? That's that right there. So Donald Trump had a fun update on the Iran war today at the White House, and he got up in front of the cameras and started to speak his bullshit. So we are going to now look at the bullshit. Let's bring that up a little further. That looks good. So we'll still get a few lines of chat whilst not blocking any part of this, whilst, you know, keeping everything regular. I could potentially also just let me do this as well. Where is that? Oh, there's that. Let me make this a little bigger. There you go. Anywho, so let's go ahead and watch old Donny Boy and see what he had to say today about this.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. It's been a very big 2 days, I have to say.
It's big 2 days. There's been no bigger days. 2 days that are big. They are bigly big, right?
And we'll be heading back to Washington, D.C. right after this. And I'd like to wish everyone a very good evening. And I'd
like to wish everybody a good evening, but not the radical left. Not them, but everyone else. Anyway.
The weekend, the United States military and the Israeli Defense Forces continued Operation Epic Fury very successfully.
I love the furries. Nobody loves the furries more than me. They're epic. The furries are epic. That's how I'm going to get the Gen Zers to support my administrative goals and vote for the Congress people because, you know, they like furries. Anyway.
Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers.
So powerful. I love power. Powerful. They're so powerful. It's like he's obsessed with that. I mean, probably because he's overcompensating for a lack of his own, right?
As the world has ever seen.
Oh, like the world's ever seen. Drink, right? I mean, come on.
Now, you add that up to all of the other things, Midnight Hammer, getting rid of the nuclear threat from Iran, which was a big...
I mean, I thought you did that. But no, then you didn't do that. So now you have to attack Iran. And then you attack Iran and you say that you don't want a nation build, but then you don't like when they name their own leaders. You want to claim your own leader, etc. Ridiculous.
Big moment in history, in my opinion. And
it's the biggest. There's been no bigger moment in history other than when I won and beat Sleepy Joe, even though he won. But I beat him anyway. And then I beat Kamala. And I beat Crooked Hillary. Those are all bigger, but then this is big too. Bigly.
Great success we've had in Venezuela and all other places. Every place.
Every place. I've had all the other places. I can't name it. All the other places where we've been successful.
We've had tremendous success. But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out.
Then why do we need to keep bombing? Why do we need to having all the bombs drop? Why do we have to do all the other stuff? Why do we have to be bombing there for 4 weeks? Like it was said that you were going to do at least 4 weeks, right? So why is that necessary?
Very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50.
It's with SpongeBob. SpongeBob SquarePants lives in a pineapple, and we're going to bomb that too. We're going to launch a torpedo at it because SpongeBob's a communist. Anyway.
The ships, I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many.
We covered it here on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from Left, that's right. That they had about 100. But, you know, hey, he can't even count, right? So, but, you know, they'll have 0 because if they're at the bottom of the sea, then they must not exist, right?
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist.
And of course, who knows if they're counting the small little craft as ships sunk as well, or if they're just only counting the big ones, right?
Didn't last very long. And these are fighting.
Didn't last very long, much like me when I'm with Melania or with Stormy.
Vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing's been hit starting today.
Why starting today? Why didn't you start that on day 1? Eh?
We know all of the places they manufacture the drone.
We know all of them, but we only started it today. We had to bomb a girls' school first before we had to go after the drone manufacturing. And they don't make good drones. We make the best. Nobody makes better drones. We make the best, but not under me, not under Sleepy Joe, not under Obama. Only when I'm president do we make the best drones.
And they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. They're
hitting when they deliver missiles, so they're hitting where the missiles are already hitting, so you're doing the job for them? Like, when you deliver a missile somewhere, I mean, that's usually where it drops on somebody. So why do they even need missiles if you're going to hit where the missiles are delivered, right? Right? I mean, makes sense, right?
Struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it.
And of course, wait, we're getting rid of the important targets in case we need to do it. Again, if they're an important target, why aren't you doing it now? Doesn't make any fucking sense. Again, this is why I say moron Trump's Iran war, because he's a fucking moron if you didn't get the pun at the beginning of the show.
If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt.
So why are you hitting that now? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh my God, this is Donald Trump.
Having to do with electricity production and many other things, so...
And many other things. Too many for me to count. I don't know how to count. Maybe to 4. Maybe 5. Not 6, 7.
Not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day. But
if they're actually a threat, why aren't you taking them out in one day? Like, again, you make no sense. You're an idiot.
It's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular...
90% decline in various things. And those things are bigly, like no one's ever seen before. In fact, you don't see them. I don't even know what they are, but they're various things. Like, and he's reading from, he's not just talking off the cuff. He's reading various things. Like, did he write this himself? Like, is it in crayon?
Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over.
Well, did they shoot or did you get rid of them?
90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within.
Well, no shit. That's how it works? Wow, Donald, you're so good. You need a cookie for that to figure that out when you can see when a place launches a missile from a particular place that's where you want to go attack because you'll then stop the ability to launch future missiles. Did you figure that one out all by yourself, Donnie Boy, or did you need somebody holding your hand and drawing you a nice little crayon-y picture about it? Gee, I mean, fuck.
A period of 5 minutes or less, accurately right on the noggin.
Exactly, Trish. Right on the noggin, as somebody says. Right on the noggin, like we believe anything it says. Right, but again, you know, at this point, I only have to go what he's saying, and even what he's saying is stupid. Like, you know, we don't know that they're full of shit and they lie all the time. Like, I don't believe any of the numbers. But even when he says the numbers, he gives the information in a way that's just so mind-numbingly boneheaded dumb that you just have to laugh at his stupid ass. And you want to just laugh at him, but it's so dangerous having him in power that that he's at the helm. Like, he's at the fucking helm, and he's this stupid.
So now we have low-cost interceptors
Low cost. There's the little New Yorker coming out of him right there. Low cost.
effectively combating Iranian drones. And our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran.
I don't want to call them bombers because it sounds too much like Barack Obama, and I don't want Barack Obamas or any other bombers that are related to Barack Obama.
And buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And
The soil was no match. I will get you, soil! You will be smote! I will smite the soil, much like the windmills.
And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought.
And notice how sexist they are because they're only manufacturing. They're not woman-manufacturing. So I'm bringing peace and security to the women of Iran. And I'm going to grab them all by the hoo-ha. So everyone should live in a safe place that's so safe where women can be grabbed by their president, their favorite president, Donald Trump.
It was possible. We're knocking them out.
Suzanne, his hair looks brassy. I haven't even been paying too much attention to what his hair looks like. Yeah, it looks like, I don't know, what's going, like, did they miss the spray tan? Did he get, like, confused and be like, squirrel? And all of a sudden, when you turn, the spray just went right over his hair? Like, that's crazy.
We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead
Again, if you know where they are, they should all be knocked out already, and then you can have our troops go home.
of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe three times.
Well, you're taking out the
And
leadership twice or three times?
as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our.
No, he doesn't want a president that's not going to do what he wants him to do, what Donald Trump wants him to do. He wants a lackey in there. Not, you know. But, you know, hey. And they said, fuck you, we're naming our own person.
Our nation to be stuck with a situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in or the head of the country in that's going to be able to do something.
I'm just going to go to Wikipedia and call myself the president of Iran as well, on top of being the president of Venezuela. Canada snooze, they lose. It's the 51st. Iran will be the 51st state, and then Venezuela will be 52, and then Canada 53, and then Greenland will be 54.
Think peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years.
And that's why I had to do it, because it's 47, and I love that number. It's a great number. Nobody has a better number than 47. 45 used to be a great number, but now 47 is twice as better. Right? I mean, that sounds like something you would say, right?
whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. Very strongly, they always denied it, but where they were very strongly.
Al-Qaeda was behind the Cole. Like, that information came out in December of 2000, according to the 9/11 Commission report. Al-Qaeda was behind the bombing of the USS Cole. Ah!
Involved in all of the people that died through the roadside bombs, died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms.
Yeah, I heard that part earlier today. They died and they're walking around with no legs and no arms. How are you walking around with no legs? Like, Lieutenant Dan, you have no legs. Like, oh my God. This is people just walking around without any legs. For fuck's sake.
A face that's been so badly damaged.
Did it look in the mirror?
The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite...
How many times are you going to say 47? 47, terror from the 47.
These countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago. They told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said... They actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we
It'd be very hard to build a nuclear weapon in a nutshell. I mean, that'd have to be a very large nut to build a whole nuclear weapon inside of it, right? I mean, that would be crazy, right?
we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't
Wait, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, not their nuclear potential, but their Iranian potential, like, I mean, who here, raise your hand if you don't believe that dementia has set in. Or if you do believe that dementia has set in, hit the heart button over there on the YouTube channel. Just keep smashing that heart react or whatever. Or maybe a laugh react, I don't know. Whatever it is you want to react at the fact that Dementia Don has full-on dementia at this point with this ridiculousness. Jeff, Midnight Hammer saw that band.
do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated.
It would have been annihilated, like obliterated, like the nuclear program was obliterated, but then you had to go attack them again because it wasn't really obliterated, but it was, but it wasn't, you know. I mean, come on.
I was very lucky that we
Veronica, Midnight Hammer, starring Dirk Diggler.
we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way.
But I'm calling them the B-2 Trumpers and not the B-2 bombers.
Newer, better version. It's
Wait, did he just say more better version?
B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version.
Okay, fine. I stand corrected. He said newer and better, not more better.
It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far.
Now, don't ask Stormy about that because she'll deny that I have the greatest equipment. But we have the greatest military, and it's all because I rebuilt it. This is where he has to make I rebuilt it because the military sucked, according to Donald Trump, during Biden and during Obama. The military absolutely sucked during those presidencies, and only Donald can bring up the military to the bigly nature that it is, like no one's ever seen. How many times are you going to have to drink when I'm correct about the next bunch? Because, again, I didn't see all of this. I just saw little clips of it.
You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear, we want enrichment at level.
Again, I don't believe for a moment that you are a judge that anybody can say, oh, you're a good judge of negotiating in good faith, because you don't negotiate in good faith. Why would anybody else come to the table with you to negotiate in good faith when they know that you're not going to do that? You have to have good faith on both sides. And there's no good faith coming from you, right? Let's continue.
That were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They
I don't believe you.
weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite.
And they took it for granted. According to The Hill, Iran agreed to zero stockpiling of nuclear material in U.S. talks, Omani foreign minister says. Oman's foreign minister said Friday that Iran is offering to give up stockpiled enriched uranium as part of a deal with the U.S. related to its nuclear program. Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi is serving as a mediator between U.S. and Iranian officials in Geneva. Now we're talking about zero stockpiling, and it's very, very important. And of course, when was that? That was on the 27th of February, so 10 days ago? So 10 days ago, Iran agreed to that, but Donald Trump is saying something else completely different. Thank you, JD Christie, for sending 5 Liberal Dan radio subscriptions, 5 more Liberal Danimals because of you. Thank you so very much, including Veronica, who received it in chat, which is something, again, I always like to see. Anyway, let's continue with this asshole.
They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time. It threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached.
Thank you for the follow over on Twitch as well. Appreciate you. Jeffrey eats his poop. Followed me. Nice. Okay.
Reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which have now been used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully.
So, used or destroyed. I mean, technically, if you use a missile, it is, by nature of its very being, is also destroyed. So you could just say that they were destroyed, right?
Is because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon.
It goes pew, 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 pew. The lasers go pew, pew. I haven't quite convinced Israel to give up the Jewish space lasers. I would have had that but, Marjorie Taylor Greene, basically blew the lid off of that and no longer, and I don't trust Marjorie. She's a traitor to me, blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved.
Sundowning hamburger. Yeah.
That I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said,
oh, Jesus Christ.
quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And all I'm
And then I did nothing about it for my first term. And then I supposedly did it with Operation Hammer Time or whatever it's called last year. But then I had to attack him again because, whatever. And, if you go on liberaldanradio.com, you can actually see the video talking about why the Iran deal, the nuclear deal, is completely different than what the straw man of the deal that is presented by Trump and his ilk, because of the fact that it actually had mechanisms in there to make sure that, they were going to get back their own money anyway, so why not tie it to some, good uses, like, making sure that there's inspectors in there, and there was going to be inspectors, but now no inspectors because Donald Trump ripped it up, threw it away. So,
doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now.
It's a much bigger threat now. Like today, like after you've done all your crap, right? It's a bigger threat now? Really? You're admitting that you're failing?
But no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt
So you're going to resign?
to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships.
But, oil went to like, what, 119 a barrel? Don't pay attention to that. Don't pay attention to the fact that my gasoline prices, hell, even Louisiana, I went up to 279 the other day when I got gas, and it was like all the way down to like 219 the other day. But, it's going to be short term, but it's going to be worth it. I think so are the deaths of the soldiers, right? Who are suckers and losers. Remember, you called them suckers and losers. Those are worth it too. So you can, enrich your wealthy oil buddies, right?
Drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to...
I like the Strait of Hormuz. I want to make sure to keep it straight. I don't like the gays of the Hormuz. Just the Straits of Hormuz, not the gays. Surprised he didn't think when he heard Straits of Hormuz that he probably thought it was talking about somebody's sexuality and not, an actual body, part of a body of water.
Remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything.
Like to ever recover the whole section of the world? Like are you going to basically just drop mushroom clouds on them or whatever? You're just gonna...
In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices.
And it's worth to kill we can kill as many people as we want to make sure that you pay cheaper prices at the pump, even though my friends, the rich oil people, love the higher prices because it gets them more money.
For American families, we've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it.
We'll put up risk insurance. We'll make sure that we make money off of other people's, of the problems that we've caused. Right?
It'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be
incalculable.
So great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing.
Well, Tricia Eastman, does it cover loss of life? Yeah, probably not. They're probably only worrying about financial things. They don't give a shit about loss of life. They only care about, death when it's an embryo or a fetus.
With all of that, it affects other
Josh, brief disruption sounds like he pooped his pants again.
countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a
I thought he was the president. Didn't he share that on Truth Social, that he's the de facto president of from Wikipedia or whatever?
massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very
Oh, the Straits, give them their oil. They get no oil from gay people, just the Straits. Anyway, but yeah, apparently there was because of the Straits of Hormuz being closed off. I think India has been given permission to get oil directly from Russia. So now Donald Trump is benefiting his Russian oligarch buddies and Putin as well. They're all probably loving the fact that now India can buy oil. Did I say India? Did I say Iran and not India? Anyway, India can now get oil from Russia, which again I'm sure is pleasing Putin greatly, because that's who Donald Trump is beholden to. It's Putin and Russia. Look at that. Aaron's on a 5-stream streak. Look at you.
good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period.
Belfast Bob, play the speech on a 24-hour loop and Iranians will give up in a few days. Well, they can't do that because didn't they stop the America's, the whatchamacallit, the Radio Free America or whatever the hell it's called?
At a time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace.
Like no one's ever seen. But yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. India being able to now get oil directly from Russia when there was embargoes or whatever before. Russia's like, okay, we have no problem with this. We like this Donald guy. We make good investment when we invest in Donald Trump being president, because he is Vladimir Putin's bitch through and through, and now we can sell our oil again to India, and that makes us lots of money, and we like the money.
When the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships and all of...
Like no one's ever seen. Let's see. Veronica says, Carrie Lake is trying to destroy Voice of America. Of course, the judge actually said that that her appointment was illegal, unconstitutional, whatever, and that all of her actions, including all of the firings that she did, should be now undone. So, way to go there, Donnie boy.
That we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast. But we
see the Russian tankers will be able to get U.S. protection. I don't think they need I think if you're using the Russian oil, or if they're getting the Russian oil, they don't need to get it through the Straits of Hormuz, and as such, you wouldn't need to get American protection. But who knows with this guy? Who knows with Donald Trump? Oh, we will get Donald to give our chips some extra protection. Even though Donald doesn't like protection, he wants extra protection for the chips, so that we can sell the Russian oil to India. And we give Donnie a cut. We'll buy some extra Trump watches and phones. And that will be our thank you. Even though they're useless pieces of garbage, but we will give him them, we will buy them from him anyway to make it look legitimate. Anyway.
I hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So
this is how kindergartners talk, like no one's ever seen. Take a drink. No one's ever seen. He said it again.
Very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. It's Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East.
Says who? Besides you, nobody believes that shit. If they would have been able to do that, they would have done it, what, years ago. But no, they don't. They can't. They wouldn't. But again, you're going to lie to justify your bullshit. That's why we don't believe the bullshit that you say.
Thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else.
1 billion missiles.
Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this.
What, did the Adelsons tell you that? Or did Sheldon Adelson's widow tell you that?
And it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder.
We'll make him into a crater.
Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with...
Is he going to rename Iran? Probably. I'm going to call it Persia. Make Persia great again. MPGA.
Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our...
Vladimir Putin controls the sex toy that he requires that I put it in somewhere that I don't want to say, but he has the remote control, and he uses Elon Musk's Starlink to control it, and it gives me some vibrations. There's a Beach Boys song about it, and that's how he controls me, with his little bzzz. Anyway.
Side from his side, we were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight, and look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together.
I wonder why Zelensky hates Putin. Wonder why. I mean, can you do that math at least, Donnie boy? Can you figure out that little bit of math right there to figure out why Zelensky doesn't like Putin? Maybe because he invaded his fucking country.
But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said,
yeah, he wants to be. I will help you very much, Donald. I will hit the button extra times for you to get extra pleasure as long as you let our oil be sold in the Middle East now that Iran is all kaplooey.
Be more helpful by...
Do you think he could dodge a shoe? Absolutely the fuck not, Josh. Shoe would probably hit him right in. No one want to ruin their shoe by getting all that orange crap all over it. Anyway.
Getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with, that would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay.
No, but soon. I can't give you a date or a time, but soon. Whatever.
And with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything...
Sooner than you'll ever believe. No one will believe how soon it'll be. Because it really will be not soon, but, you know, hey, whatever. It is what it is.
Thing they have is gone, including their leadership.
Except for the leader that was already announced as the leader.
In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have...
And I'm taking the elevator all the way down. And then we're going to have more levels like you've never seen.
Never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
Very powerful. Drink every time he says powerful. No, don't do that because I don't want y'all dying. Let's continue.
To Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that? And why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history.
Okay, whatever.
Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration.
And it's all because of me. Donnie's Inferno, many levels no one has ever seen in the history of the world. Exactly.
Trust Marco, and so do the American.
I trust Marco, who I used to call Little Marco, but then he showed me it and realized he wasn't so little. Anyway.
American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're real.
Friendly takeover. What is that? Like fucking for virginity?
And they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no.
And I don't like low energy. Ignore the fact that I fall asleep when I'm, at funerals or in press conferences or meetings or whatever. Forget all that. But I don't like low energy.
Money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels.
Like no one's ever seen.
Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country.
Like no one's ever seen.
And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long
Do you even know what a friend is? Are you actually, besides Epstein?
time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it.
It'll be deal or no deal. I'm going to get Howie Mandel to help me out. Hey, Tasha, thanks for joining. Appreciate you.
Just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
There's footage that shows that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the
You literally were with Pete Kegsbreath, and you were trying to say, I don't think that's the case, and then he was like, we're investigating it, and it's actually been shown that it actually happened. But, you know what happens if Trump doesn't see something, it doesn't exist.
If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. Object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist.
the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more, but whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic, it's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it?
Oh, she called him the defense secretary. Oh, he's going to be mad about that one because he renamed it, didn't he?
And how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar. They have no telecommunications. And they have no leadership. It's all gone.
Except for the ones that they do have that you're still bombing, that you are not liking that they appointed, yada, yada, yada.
So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it,
Does he even know the dates? Does he even know what the hell's going on? I think he's very confused. But, we all know that Dementia Don is very confused.
incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. You know, these were ships, these were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down
to a trickle, just like what's in my pants.
To probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufacture.
Again, if anybody believes the numbers from this administration, you know, you haven't been watching Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left. That's right enough, because we all know that he lies. Lies, lies, and more lies.
The drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be a determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which
no one's ever seen. Yes, we get it, fucking Donald Trump.
People haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have.
I mean, like, did they just sit here and just, like, you know, pick their noses and eat their boogers and be like, "No, that's a good point there, Donald. You made another good point. I haven't seen anything like that." And you, every time you say I hadn't seen nothing like it that no one ever believes, I guarantee you I never believed, I never seen it. Let me just eat some more of these boogers there, because they're delicious. They're like Micah Crisp is what I like to call them. These boogers are delicious. And I would eat your boogers too if you ate them, sir, because I know you like being called sir, because, you know, that gets you off. And if I can't control Putin's little button that he has to do all the nasty things that he does to you, at least I'll eat one of your boogers. That's what I'll do, because that's what I do for my president, because that's what smart people do, is they support this president, Donald Trump. They support him in everything that he does, and every time he says something is wonderful, like no one's ever seen, we never seen it, I never seen it, you never seen it, you have to trust him, right?
I believe the best generals, we have the best, and
like no one's ever seen, Donald. Tell them, Donald, they're the best generals like no one's ever seen. No one's ever seen it. They haven't. It's unseen until you great leader, you, Donald Trump. Oh, hell, you know, Donald Trump's like the savior we've never seen. Like, you know, forget Jesus, it's Donald. He's my savior.
This went very quickly. We talked about
much like you with Stormy, right? You went rather quickly there, too.
About that with President Putin. He was very impressed.
They took my gerb. Thank you, Alyosha. And thank you, Alyosha, for the bits as well.
With what he saw, because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel.
Veronica, wow, I'm glad he is okay. You know, I'm a stroke patient too, but I'm a longtime fan of DK. Glad he's okay. It's a tough road ahead. Wait, am I missing something?
And that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference.
And
we might have had a much
didn't even let the guy finish his question.
Different press conference, if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
And don't let them unpresident you, though, sir, because we like having Donald Trump as our president, because we're the poorly educated people, and we love having it because he shows us things that no one's ever seen, and he keeps telling us that no one's ever seen it. And so it must be true, right?
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today, it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy, it's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America, and we want no mail-in ballot scams. So,
you vote by mail. So that means you voted in a scammy way?
So we have exceptions for the military, for...
Of course there are exceptions. I mean, if you have exceptions for the military, then you're not giving people equal protection under the law, so therefore they should be deemed unconstitutional. If it's okay for, military people to do it, it should be okay for other people to do it too. Because, there should be rules on all the mail-in ballots, and that's fine with having rules with mail-in ballots, and there's no evidence where all these mail-in ballots votes are actually causing any problems except for the ones that are in your fucking tiny little head.
sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever.
So if you do business, you can have your mail-in ballot. If you're sick, if you're disabled, if you're this, it's again, but just everybody else. But this is basically what he needs to say. I just don't want it for the blacks, is what he basically wants to say. But he's not going to say it because, sometimes he actually filters the racism that's churning around in his tiny little head of his.
Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things.
We'll be very liberal. Uh-oh, they just said he's going to be very liberal. But again, how can you have all these exceptions and expect to have a policy that's actually going to make sense? You can't. That's why you have to allow them. Because you'll find any reason why you can have it, but never again. They want it for them. They don't want it for anybody else.
Things to it. No men in women's sports and no transgender.
Yeah. And then what does this have to do with voting? What does having trans folks being in sports have anything to do with voting? Again, he's just trying to pick off the people that he wants to be able to, please with all of his bigoted bullshit.
Mutilization of our children. We don't want
nobody's mutilization of children. Whatever word you said there.
It's mutilization of our children. And
no, it's not, because it doesn't happen.
We don't want that. So we add,
and it's not happening, so you're not getting it. Social transitioning is not mutilization of kids.
Those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points.
Yeah, good.
It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that.
Here's the thing. Here's one thing where conservatives are just fucking stupid about. And him in particular. He went and said that because this is the most important thing, that every American wants this above anything else. But he sees something that polls at 86%. So let's say voter ID in and of itself, by itself alone, let's say that polls at a high number. I'm not going to say 86% because, again, Donald Trump's saying it, so I have no reason to believe it. But even if it was 75 or even 60 to 65%, let's say a bunch of people supported the idea of showing an ID to cast a ballot. He's then going to do what they always do with these so-called voter ID laws, and he's going to tack in all this other stuff and try and justify all this other stuff because some people have this great big support for the voter ID requirements, whatever. When you pass it a standalone, and Wisconsin, when they passed a standalone example of that legislation, it passed like 60%. Not 85%, but 60%. But again, they shove all these other things that have nothing to do with this thing that polls high and then try and claim that the entire bill polls high. No, it's only this one thing that polls high, and I don't believe it's as high as you say it is, but even if it was, it's still, it doesn't mean that it's the most important thing. That was on Jeff's show today. I called into Jeff Crare's show, the Ringside Politics show that I call into, that I sometimes play clips from. And basically I was like, look, just because this individual issue might poll high, it doesn't mean that it's the most important thing. It's the thing that Americans want the most. And this idiot right here thinks that because it polls high, it's what Americans want the most. Because again, he's a fucking idiot and doesn't understand how things work.
Overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have
Well, you're failing miserably there, bucko.
a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so
They're not, but go ahead.
dishonest like
They're not.
we've witnessed over the
You've witnessed nothing.
last period of time.
I can't even say a period of time. As again, if you watch the whole thing about, that I just played earlier today, it's on liberaldanradio.com, the YouTube channel. You go to the Liberal Dan U playlist and you'll see another example. The Heritage Foundation's own website has a database of information that proves you wrong. But, exactly. Make the ID free, J.D. Christie says, and we got a deal. And not just make it free, but you should actually be made free for the whole process. If you need a copy of your birth certificate to get it, all of that should be made available for you to be accessible for free. Period. End of story. Get that done? No problem. No, you're not going to have any arguments from any of us. But then this is what they do. They're going to go from that little point, and they're going to say, oh, but we're going to deny what type of IDs can be used and which IDs can be used. We're going to make other things, like make other people have to jump through hoops, like, for example, the SAVE Act requirements to, have to prove who you are if you've changed your name because of marriage or some other purpose or whatever. Again, those other things that are going to make other people jump through hoops. And again, just because we say that we don't like people having to jump through extra hoops, it doesn't mean that they're incapable of doing so. We're just saying that they shouldn't have to jump through any additional hoops as compared to anybody else to cast their constitutionally protected ballot. So,
as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France.
And why that doesn't mean anything. Just because other countries don't have it doesn't mean that their decision is correct. It doesn't make our decision incorrect. Appealing to popularity is not an appeal to tradition, are both logical fallacies.
Went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into.
Let's go to this real quick. Atlanta, May 6, 2020. The United States faces a series of critical challenges because of COVID-19, including serious impediments to holding safe, secure, and inclusive elections in November. Many voters across the U.S. are likely to find themselves in areas where the pandemic has not abated and where health risks involved in going to polling locations will be unacceptably high. To address this threat, the Carter Center urges federal and state governments to expand access to vote-by-mail options and to provide adequate funding as quickly as possible to allow for the additional planning, preparation, equipment, and public messaging that will be required. The nonpartisan 2005 Commission on Federal Election Reform, co-chaired by former U.S. President Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James A. Baker, noted among its many findings and recommendations that because it takes place outside the regulated environment of local polling locations, voting by mail creates increased logistical challenges and the potential for vote fraud, especially if safeguards are lacking, or when candidates or political party activists are allowed to handle mail-in or absentee ballots. However, the Carter-Baker Commission found that where safeguards for ballot integrities are in place, for example, in Oregon, where the entire state has voted by mail since 1998, there is little evidence of voter fraud. So, yeah, again, you cannot believe anything that this idiot president says, because he is going to lie, cheat, and steal his way to victories while claiming he's fighting for integrity. The Carter Center clearly states, the commission clearly states, that as long as you have safeguards in place, that voting by mail is safe and effective and does not cause any harm in election integrity. So fuck off, you dumb piece of shit. Let's continue.
That we know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them.
Are you now?
Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot.
The biggest problem is the Democrat shutdown. No, the shutdown is because y'all won't actually take the steps that are required to protect, like, American citizens from being murdered by ICE. Another American was killed the other day in a stop, and they claimed that it was somebody trying to run somebody else over again, but the police body cam of the other police officials showed that that was not true, period. So, you know, go ahead and keep lying. We're going to keep calling you out on your bullshit.
Not about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
Well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because
they didn't listen to me, so I was very disappointed. Somebody asking in chat, did you see anything about what happened in Kansas? Bomb threat in Kansas City airport leads to evacuation. Terminal cleared after investigation. Passengers and employees were evacuated from Kansas City International Airport for about 2 hours after authorities received a bomb threat involving the terminal and parking garage. Kansas City Aviation Department said it received a call Sunday morning about a potential device. Airport police and other law enforcement agencies and the FBI responded to investigate. You mean this guy? This guy responded to investigate? That guy? Anyway. Passenger at Kansas City International Airport said travelers were suddenly ordered to leave while waiting to board flights. We were waiting to board our plane. All of a sudden they came with speakers said we need everybody to evacuate immediately. They did not give us a reason why. O'Neill said it appears planes have been moved away from the terminal as passengers tried to figure out what the hell was going on. So I hadn't seen that part yet. Of course, you know, authorities later determined that the vehicle that they saw did not pose a threat. Yada, yada, yada. So anyway, that's what happened there. Dear God, Battel's eyes. Exactly. Let's continue.
we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that
I'm looking for somebody to kiss my ass?
You just said that their leadership has been
I
decimated
like the
and
idea
wiped
of, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the
So
idea.
he wants it eternal and internal. So he wants somebody who'd be there eternally, like you want a king for life or something. Is that what? Are you saying the quiet part loud about yourself?
Idea of internal, because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired,
You get a pink slip. You get a pink slip. Everyone gets a pink slip, right?
politicians got fired. There was nobody.
And sounds like what you did to our government, firing everybody and even getting rid of people that you fucking needed.
You know what they turned into? ISIS.
That maybe we should have taken a little hint here. But if we started firing everybody here, that we're going to become our own version of our own little American ISIS.
And we don't want that. We don't
Unless it's here, then you do want it. Right?
want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a...
Orville, he's shit-faced. I mean, maybe on some sort of medicine. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's the dementia. I mean, he claims to have never had a drink. I don't know. Like, nobody ever had a drink. I mean, unless there's a medical issue, can you really trust somebody who's never had a drink?
formula that's...
Of course, then again, why do we believe anything he says? I'm sure he fucking gets shit-faced all the time and just, lies about it because he lies about everything else.
It's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and
Taken care of. Can't even find the right word to say.
made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have it's brought to the refineries.
Okay, Aaron. Hal's never had alcohol. Fine. Exception proves the rule.
It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership.
$200 million barrels.
Getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's...
I mean, he's saying that he doesn't know enough about it, so he's going to say words. If he doesn't know enough about it, he should say, I don't know enough about it, and not comment on it. But, that's like, Noam. And, that's why he hired Noam, because they're similar ilk.
Something that I was told is under investigation, but tomahawks are
It's under investigation,
used by others, as you know.
It's under investigation, so instead of saying it's under investigation, I will refrain from commenting until we actually have the investigation. He's going to say, it's under investigation, so I'm going to say what I think is true, and then, let that lie go out there so that all of my supporters believe it, except even some of his supporters now are not believing it and are actually calling bullshit on him, which is mind-blowing in and of itself, but still.
Numerous other nations have tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will...
Exactly, Jennifer. It isn't under investigation. But, there's no reason for us to believe that it is. But still, even if he just left it at that, it would be a responsible thing to do and say, I'm not going to comment because they're investigating it. But no, he's going to say what he thinks is true when it's usually false.
Well, certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
But the kids aren't that you killed.
Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon.
I don't think they would be starting to the next day to be developing a nuclear weapon, you dumb shit.
Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when
they literally said that they were willing to, we talked about that earlier. You're a liar. Shut up.
Steve called up and he said that to me. I said, well, here we go.
Yeah, exactly, Trish. Are we tired of winning yet? Yeah, all this winning, we're going to all lose.
Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way.
The hard way is I have to isolate that, right? I have to basically, let's play that again real quick because I think we have to just record that for posterity's sake.
They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to...
They were staying out of it until they didn't stay out of it, but then they got out of it, then they got in it, then they got out of it. It's like the hokey pokey. You turn yourself around. That's what it's all about.
Do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take...
They're going to take over the world, Pinky.
Go over the Middle East.
Gee, Brian, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Or, gee, Pinky, are you thinking what I'm thinking? I think so, Brian, but burlap chafes me so.
Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite.
Melania's like, oh, I can't stand hearing about the Midnight Hammer. The Midnight Hammer is too much. Too much for the Midnight Hammer. No hammering. It's like tiny little tiny little screwdriver, not hammer.
Because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last...
That's right, to kill him. He looks extra oompa in his loompa today. Oompa loompa doo, or oompa loompa doopity doo. If you don't like me, screw you too, or whatever. I don't know. Think of a better parody at some point.
6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East...
They didn't start shooting at the UAE until after we started attacking. So it's not them immediately wanting to attack. It's them responding to you being a dumb piece of shit and not being prepared to be able to actually handle world events as you should be if you're president of these United States. If you don't like me, poo-poo on you. There you go, Jennifer. Good one.
In those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of...
Veronica, it's like a ball peen hammer. I like that one. Good job.
Somebody else.
Mr. President, are there any points of disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic.
What? He was less enthusiastic, but enthusiastic. Like, I don't know. Just, I mean, I guess there's some planet where that might make sense, but he's just, again, sundowning on the Cheeseburger.
But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete and everybody was involved.
Is it hard for him to not say Lil Marco after all the times he called him Lil Marco?
I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing.
Hit us where? Where would we be hit? Where would Iran be able to hit us?
In the back, please. In the back.
Sir, you said you're considering seizing the Strait of Hormuz. Is there a timeline for that?
About the strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good.
I'm all about opening the straits, not the gays. Okay, sorry.
You know, it does.
I'm sure that's what he thinks because, you know, he's an idiot.
It doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here. And
well, there you go. Exactly.
Other countries, because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
I almost spat out my drink right there. We have a lot of energy with the Straits. Like, come on, man. Like, there's got to be like a little betting pool. Like, what ridiculous shit can we get Donald Trump to say by asking him a question?
Leader, you have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back? And how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does because that would be inappropriate. But
don't let that stop you now, Donnie boy. Now you're worrying about appropriateness after wearing a fucking gold-gilded MAGA baseball cap? Yeah, fuck you.
Hey, look, I had a target on my back because, as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first, but they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody.
And I put the ass in assassin.
Custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can be.
I'd like to, but they have to kiss my ass. If they don't kiss my ass and call me sir, we won't help them, but, you know, I will, but I won't. I maybe, I don't know.
Behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing...
They're menacing, but they're great people. But they're menacing, but they're great. But they suck, but they're wonderful, but they're terrible. The synapses are all misfiring all at once.
population. It's amazing.
Josh is what it says. I think he's talking about the one who was set up outside his golf course or whatever. I think that's the one he's talking about.
Smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great point. I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And
especially because we blew it all to hell.
I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead.
And by attacking us, he doesn't just mean like, you know, launching missiles and terrorist attacks, but he means like, you know, insulting his, you know, lack of intelligence or whatever.
To many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
1 million, as long as it takes for me to have, you know, if they die, then we don't have to give them health care afterwards, so we save money. And that's probably what drives me the most, is making sure that we can save money by making sure that they're dead so they don't have health care from us anymore. I mean, say what you want, but I'm sure Donald Trump thinks that in the inner workings of his whatever he has up there in replacement of a brain.
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all...
Now, one of them called me sir. It was so unbelievable.
All had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one, finish the job, sir, please.
No, they didn't. Shut up. They didn't say sir. I want you, the only person that we know that have said sir is fucking Juan Orlando Hernandez. And he put that in his letter. Like, I want to hear somebody actually fucking calling him sir, because it doesn't fucking happen.
Please finish the job. And
I don't like the Finnish. I don't like Finnish or the Danes or the Swedes or anybody else.
I'll leave you at that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
I wish you would leave us for good, but you know, it is what it is, right? Anyway, let's go ahead and shut that one down. Man, I did want to talk about something. Maybe we'll tackle that Wednesday show. But there is this. Erica Kirk, appointed to USAFA Board of Visitors, could help vote to recommend Charlie Kirk for honorary degree. Article has been updated with a response from Representative August Flugner, or Fluger. Erica Kirk, the widow of slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk, was appointed to the Air Force Academy Board of Visitors, according to the board's website. Ms. Kirk's appointment to the BOV appeared to have happened quietly over the weekend with no formal announcement. In a statement, Representative August Fluger, who chairs the BOV, said he made the recommendations to appoint Erica Kirk months ago and applauded President Trump for finally doing so. Erica is the right person to fill Charlie's place on the board and continue his work of inspiring the next generation of service members and advancing the academy. Did he go to the academy? Then why would he be on that to begin with? And why should she be there either? Look forward to working alongside her to carry out Charlie's legacy. White House has now responded to requests for comment. Membership in the congressionally mandated BOV is attained via appointment by the president, along with lawmakers designated through their leadership in Congress. Ms. Kirk's appointment by President Trump comes after a year after Trump first appointed her late husband, Charlie Kirk, a conservative podcaster, to the board in March. That makes sense. I guess that's why he was there, because Trump put him there. Mr. Kirk attended his first BOV meeting. Does BOV stand for like bacterial vaginosis or whatever? I don't know. Meeting of the Air Force Academy on August 7th last year, just weeks before his assassination. After his death, Erica Kirk took over leadership at Turning Point USA. The organization has not returned a request request for comment. The BOV is an oversight committee that monitors the morale, curriculum, academic methods, and other issues relating to the United States Air Force Academy. Though it can't force any change, the board does make recommendations to the Secretaries of the Air Force and Defense. The board submitted its semi-annual report to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Air Force Secretary Troy Menck last month. Ms. Kirk's appointment occurs just as the Board of Visitors might also be taking up the issue of granting or recommending that Charlie Kirk receive an honorary degree from the Academy. Following his death, Air Force Academy Association of Graduates considered posthumously granting Charlie Kirk an Association of Graduates membership and honorary degree from the Academy. The motion stirred up widespread controversy, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, just more ridiculousness. Maybe she'll get a nice couch that JD can visit her on, right? Jolie has been sneezing all night. I'm sorry, Jolie. I hope you feel better from your sneezing. Are you just allergic to hearing Donald Trump talking? And apparently also, from what somebody said in the chat, according to Reuters, Trump says he's thinking of putting Republican Senator Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court. President Donald Trump said Friday he was considering nominating Republican Senator Ted Cruz for a future seat of the Supreme Court. Cruz said last month he wasn't interested. Trump, introducing Cruz at a rally in Corpus Christi, called him an amazing guy, joking that he would easily win confirmation from the Democrats and Republicans because they wanted to get him out of the Senate. I mean, fine. That's actually a good joke. I'm sure somebody else wrote it for Donald, because I'm sure Donald didn't come up with it himself. He's the only guy I know. I'll get 100% of the Democratic vote, 100% of Republican. They want him out of there. He's such a pain in the ass, but he's so good and so talented. Yeah, he's so good at like being a cuck for you because, you know, after you insulted him and his family, you know, he went ahead and had your back, or let him have your back, if you will. Anywho, so there was one other topic I wanted to talk about how Gen Z men think wives should obey their husbands. 1/3 of Gen Z men believe that wives should obey their husbands. However, we are not going to go about this one. We'll probably talk about this more towards the end of the next show, because I also wanted to do some, with that, you know, let's talk about the reasons why Gen Zers might be thinking that way. It's because they listen to people on the Manosphere, the podcast, the Fresh and Fit, the whatever podcast people, and maybe we'll respond to some of those videos on top of talking about the sexism that is rampant among people that is causing young Gen Z men to be more boomery than boomers. So it's ridiculous. Anywho, ciders are pretty dope. I do like cider. Actually, we're going to cider not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So you can absolutely, if you want to buy me cider, you can go to liberaldan.com and click the buy me cider button, or just go to buymecoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Be a patron, patreon.com/liberaldan, or patreon.liberaldan.com. You can Venmo Liberal Dan, just do, you know, friends and family, because you're not buying anything. You can go to the shop, get some Liberal Dan Radio merchandise. Fourth Wall is up there as well. Liberal Dan Radio shop.fourthwall.com. Lots of different shirts you can get there as well. I've been slacking on getting the people the shirts that they are owed, Jolie and Aaron including, but there's at least one or two other patrons that have qualified now for shirts as well, for being the OG members. So y'all are going to get your shirts at some point soon. I will reach out to you by email if I haven't already done so. So thank everybody for joining the show. Appreciate it. And we will go ahead and end the show with some Liberal Dan Radio music, including one of the newer ones. And we will see you again Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Central, here at liberaldanradio.com or twitch.liberaldanradio.com for more Talk from the Left. That's right.
He said nobody who healthcare could be so complicated. The Obamacare debate was 6 months litigated. Years of med school debt got capitalized. Insurance claim forms so high they nearly capsized. But he wouldn't know the frustration of We knew. Yeah. He said people don't realize Obama departed, but the porter-in-chief is what La Raza retorted. Obama went after the violent folks and felons, drunk near the dishwashers and people picking melons. But Obama's argument shows that he's not very bright. If Obama made some wrongs, two wrongs don't make a right. Everybody knew, the whole world knew. Univision, AP, the fact check crew. Oh, acting all surprised that the sky is blue. It wasn't no secret. We knew. He asked who knew a virus could be so contagious. Virologists blinked at someone so outrageous. He was surprised at how many countries existed. No wonder when the virus spread, either one who missed it spread them out, slit red in every deadly hue. World Health Memo said we already knew. Everybody knew. Oh, the whole world knew. Oh, the lab coats, the leaders, and we were with the flu. Oh, the nations of the world, more than 192. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. You unveiled oxygen like contraband air. Like 6 there. You sat down, claiming to discover chairs. War called money was his big surprise. Iraq has oil. Can you believe your eyes? He said, we are divided. A surprise to no one thinking. And he was most surprised a Republican was Lincoln. Everybody knew. The whole world knew. The Christians, the Muslims, atheists, and the Jews. Like being shot, they have animals at the zoo. It wasn't a big secret. We knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew.
Trump said he'd stop forever wars, and peace is what he'd send. He said we'd measure his success by every war he'd end. In Gaza, he'd protect the people. War crimes he would ward off. But can we trust the board of peace when it's peace that he is bored of? He said he was a man of peace, like no one's seen before. But there's a piece of something he simply can't ignore. But what's the final goal? His holy breast ring. Does he want a piece or does he want the whole thing? He wants a piece of Gaza, cause it's strategic ground. But when he redevelops it, where will Gazans be found? Attacked Iran's nuclear program, wanting to bring calm. But when given another chance, he's dropped another bomb. You said he was a man of peace, like no one's seen before. But then he sent an armada to Venezuela's shore. Peace was what he claimed to want, a carrot on a string. But how can one be peacemaker when one wants to be king? He wants a piece of the courts till the rulings lean. A piece of all the media till truth cannot be seen. A piece of the land to the north, A huge 51st state. A piece of that land of green. He thinks that would be great. A piece of that Nobel Award. A very peaceful pride. A piece of every nation. Cutting them up like pie. A piece of all of our tax dollars. 10 billion in a suit. A piece of every human, including me and you. So he was a man of peace, like no one's seen before. But then he turned the DOD and made it one of war. When it comes to Donald Trump, remember this one thing. He never wanted just a piece. He wanted the whole thing.
Obama and Bush's pictures got hidden, obscuring the past, history rewritten, hung in a hallway where no tour can see, confirming his unending fragility. If Trump can't see it, you must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, object permanent, a milestone missed. If Trump can't see it, he must not exist. Stop the testing was the line that he said. Hundreds of thousands needlessly dead. Now HHS is run by brainworm quack, hiding the truth behind his back. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list, an administration run by narcissists. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Boxes of documents stacked floor to the wall, top secret folders in a bathroom stall. Charges were pressed, but the case was dropped. A corrupt judicial system he can co-opt. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. He'll swear it's fake news, a liberal twist. If Trump can't see it, it must not exist. Encampments downtown, tents lining the street. Invisible people that power won't beat. Hide them away so the cameras can't find it. Proof of a system that's cold and unkind. Of chaotic secret and NDA sign. An illegal bribe, Michael Cohen fine. Trump got fined too over his gag order, but she didn't gag, cause he was much shorter. It must not exist. That also includes the Epstein list. We can't let him win, we must resist.